leave it to Sony to really kind of take advantage of Microsoft not having many games this year. I think obviously the success of the Xbox Bethesda showcase is really going to kind of play a big role for the future of PlayStation as well. We continually see Sony make deals with third parties, and I've talked about this multiple times. They make deals with third parties, they get everybody excited. They're having a crazy year this year between the first and the third party stuff, and I wanted to get into these announcements that came out because I felt like it's very prudent to what's going on. And this, again, it makes Xbox look bad because Xbox is this super rich company, right? They're a rich company. They got a lot of money, and they seem to lack a contingency plan for when things kind of go wrong for them, and I think that's really going to hurt them in the long run. Now, listen, is it the be-all, end-all or anything like that? Absolutely not. Listen, Microsoft is going to continue to be fine. People will find value in Game Pass and to continue to do so, but in the meantime, I think Sony has done a fantastic job of getting gamers excited about the future of the platform and getting people excited over, the exclusive games, because that's, obviously that's what a lot of people care about personally. But if you look at what they have coming out in terms of even the third-party exclusives and things like that, it's pretty big. And they also managed to get, anybody ever noticed this, right? So I think Microsoft does do a good job of getting like the smaller indies and some of the double A's and things like that. But a lot of the really quality ones really come to PlayStation in a quick fashion, right? Like, let's just look at this real quick. Sifu was a game that PlayStation fans loved. You look at Kena Bridge of Spirits, a game that PlayStation fan loves. I personally love that game. I thought it was really good. But they managed to get these games like Stray. And yes, Microsoft does get some stuff like you can look at Tunic. And I think Tunic was, a good game for people that like old school Zelda. Personally, not me. A cross between Zelda and the Souls games is my own personal hell. So yeah, I kind of look at things a little bit different there. But I wanted to get into this announcement because there was a couple of them. And again, it just goes to show you that Sony manages to always come out looking much better than Microsoft, regardless of what Microsoft does. And I hope that Microsoft changes that at some particular point. They've got to realize that, listen, gamers, they want games. That's why Microsoft is about to have 35 studios and all this content. But they've got to realize that, they really kind of plan poorly when it comes to what's going on with Xbox right this instant. And I hope that they kind of realize that and fix that up because, listen, we all want games, but we also have to realize and be fair that I know a lot of PlayStation fans are bragging about their exclusives right now, but if you think about it, the average person maybe not into racing games probably played Horizon Forbidden West in February, and that's already 4 or 5 months ago. So, these droughts can happen, and traditionally we get 3, tops 4 of these big games a year. So most of the time, regardless of which side of the fence you're on, we're playing multiplats, and we're probably playing the same multiplats. So let's keep that in mind when we're kind of discussing these things. I want to get into this. Let's go. Look, I'll be the first one to admit that the PlayStation 4 had its problems when it comes to exclusive games, especially at the beginning of the generation. That's why I made fun of it so much. And let's just be real, clearly there's going to be some issue there when, Microsoft has a bunch of games within the launch year and Sony realistically didn't have much. Now, I'm not saying that Sony had completely nothing, but if you look at things, they've really kind of come a long way in the way that they kind of sort of achieved the success that they did. I feel like a lot of the success that they had, to be completely honest with you, had to do with, the idea that, that Microsoft kind of shot themselves in the foot, right? And I think that that's obviously something that happened. Microsoft shot themselves in the foot with the Xbox One, and people kind of took that and sort of, go, hey, you know what, that is crazy that they kind of shot themselves in the foot and, they kind of ruined themselves a little bit. But I still think that at the end of the day, Microsoft did a good job this generation getting back into the fold and things like that. So I'm excited to see what happens in the future with the PlayStation 5. But this was pretty good news because we know already Sony has already released Gran Turismo 7. Sony has already released Horizon Forbidden West. Forspoken is coming out later this year. It looks like there's a couple Final Fantasy games coming out next year. There's just so much content. And now Cory Barlog is teasing God of War on PS5, which would be like the trifecta completing that. So God of War Ragnarok is easily one of the most anticipated games for a lot of people right now. With there being lots of speculation on whether it will release in 2022 or get delayed, game producer Cory Barlog recently returned to Twitter after a short break and has teased playing the game. Barlog served as lead animator on the original God of War game before taking on game director duties with the sequel. He stepped down as director after that before returning to the series as director for the God of War reboot in 2018. He once again stepped back from directorial duties for the upcoming God of War Ragnarok, but has stayed on board as producer. This means he will play a major role in the game itself and no doubt would be getting to test out the game early. Obviously, Twitter is a fantastic way to kind of stay connected to your favorites in the gaming industry, with Barlog undoubtedly being a fan favorite. Sometimes it can be a little bit distracting, as he recently took a hiatus from the social media platform for a few months before returning the other day to respond to a tweet claiming they heard God of War Ragnarok would not be released in 2022 as it's supposedly planned. It's very interesting. The person who tweeted the potential delay was David Jaffe, director of the first God of War and creative director of God of War 2. Interestingly enough, God of War 2 was when Cory Barlog took over as game director for that one, so they've worked together in the past. The fact that he returned from his 3-month Twitter hiatus to respond to this caught the attention of many people, especially after he used a smirking Ryan Reynolds gif as the response to that as well. Barlog quickly returned to regular tweeting upon his return, including a cryptic tease that could mean he is playing God of War right now. Passing on playing newly arrived Steam Deck would be tough to do, but God of War Ragnarok as the alternative could make that decision very easy. This could easily be trolling on Barlog's part, but obviously it makes us think he's talking about Ragnarok when he really isn't. However, his propensity for teasing on Twitter makes us think he's likely referring to the much-awaited God of War sequel. So, Jaffe was out there saying, hey, he's heard from a couple people that, the game was having some issues and things like that, and it wasn't going to make its release date this year. And then, obviously, we have a situation where Cory is kind of, firing back a bit, saying, hey, there's nothing to that rumor, and, everything's going to be fine, kind of, and listen, I think that I tend to, even though I'm not the biggest Jason Schreier fan, I still think that, at the end of the day, that Jason is probably more in the know about this game than most, and he says that it was delayed internally and that it is still on schedule for this year. So yeah, that's pretty much how I look at this thing. So you look at the crazy year for Sony, and yeah, you could probably split a few hairs and say, well, you know what, listen, Sony has their big 3 games this year because last year those 3 games were delayed, and that would be a fair enough statement. But still, they managed to get them out. Fans are going to be happy. Everybody seems to be talking about this stuff, and listen, it's smart. I'm happy that Sony and Microsoft seem to be kind of competing more so than they ever have in the past, and it just makes a lot of sense that that's happening. So I do hope to see God of War this year, because like I said, the first game, my absolute favorite game. What do you guys think about this? The content is so crazy. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. If you watch my videos, please leave a like on the video. It helps it to be seen, and it helps the channel to grow. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. Thanks for watching. Crap Gamer out.